So we have a Bentley Continental R. This is well, what I'd call is a 95, 96 spec car. So it's quite a unique car because it's a bit of a half breed between the earlier car and the later car, because basically it's got the Zytec engine management system, but the earlier alarm system, non-Clifford, and also the seats as well. They're not the BMW seats with the single arm across the back. They're the original Continental R seats. So in some aspects, my personal preference is probably a better car actually, because BMW seats always seem to have problems with the cabling. This car has got smaller brakes, rather than what we call the big boy braking system, so which are quite expensive to buy. So in essence, with that, the costs are reduced on that side of things. And also, I mean, so then it's less expensive. And to be truthful, I've not really know a massive noticeable difference between the bigger brakes and the smaller brakes. So I always, unless I suppose when you are driving quite what they call, I suppose, keenly, you probably could notice a massive difference. But a normal drive, enjoyable drive out, you probably never even notice the difference between the two. So that's why I think these this sort of unique 95, 96 car is probably one of the nicer ones to have, really. I've sort of known Continental R since the beginning, because when I used to work at B&A, we obviously had some of the very first ones to be sold to the customers, and they had the cage electronic system, which was only really around for a couple of years. And the problem with that is that they obviously were catless cars, so they always seemed lethargic and a bit underpowered. And to be truthful, which did amuse me, was obviously because they were only out for a year or two, and then suddenly you can come on to Motronic 3.3, and a lot of the earlier customers were slightly annoyed that they'd obviously bought the first cars, but suddenly these first cars were obviously had flaws, as in obviously how much brake horsepower they had, and so they developed a later engine, Motronic engine with electronic injection system. So therefore they were slightly disappointed. But I quite like the Continental R range. My favourites obviously is the Continental S and the Continental T's, and all your derivatives from there. Really, they're just such great cars. And it wasn't until actually the customer who has recently bought this actually particular car said to me he couldn't go over the length of them. And to be truthful, I've been around these cars all my life, and I stood back and outside this beautiful house, obviously, where he'd bought the car from, and you couldn't believe the length of these cars. They're just absolutely massive. I suppose in some aspects to give it a bit of a sportier feel, they decided that they will reduce the wheelbase for the Continental T, so that's what I suppose gave it that little sportier feel about it. But yeah, they're one of my favourites. Obviously, they're not without their issues. Obviously, don't need to tell it to make people too aware, and you know, obviously that most people are aware of that these cars suffer from head gasket issues, sort of 50,000 miles above. Funny enough, the really early cars with the GM box, 4-speed box, they suffered a lot as well. We were changing them under warranty. Obviously had some issues with the torque of the engine, so we were replacing them. Obviously, rot or corrosion is not their friend either, and also suspension components are quite commonplace to be having to be replaced. But and also front spring sagging, and bringing back to my standing height thing. I love a car when it looks right, but when the cars like Continental T and the 4-door cars suffer with front suspension collapsing, it doesn't look quite right. So it's quite nice to have them sort of maintain their original sort of factory look, if you want to say that. But yeah, I think what you have to do is just gradually invest time, effort into getting them right, and they are spectacular, especially when you can get a Continental 2 which is 420 horsepower on the real late ones, with water-cooled turbo and everything like that. They are really quick. The only thing I'd say is that I suppose it's part and parcel with Bentley, is that the suspension is quite firm on these, and but that's the nature of the beast. It's a sporting car, isn't it, at the end of the day? But I do enjoy Continental R. They're such a stylish looking car, and when they brought out the Azure, good looking car, but suffered badly from scuttle shake and things like that, and so the hardtop version was always the kiddie for me in the end. See, it was better way to go if you wanted a two-door car like this.